UFC 297 Strickland versus Plessis is this weekend, this Saturday in Canada. So, we're going to go through here and we're going to take a look at this card, starting with the first fight on the main card, ending with the main event. So, to start off the card, Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. So, Arnold Allen as the plus 140 underdog, Movsar Evloev as the minus 166 favorite. So, Arnold Allen coming off a loss against Max Holloway, but everybody loses to Max Holloway. I think Arnold Allen can still definitely be a top contender in this division with his striking and like how good he is at his striking. He's a very precise striker. Like you see those head kicks that he throws, at least from what I've noticed, he's a very precise striker and a good kickboxer all around. But I think Max Holloway was just a little bit too much for him. I mean, it was a good fight, don't get me wrong. He kind of went out on his shield at the very end of the fight, Arnold Allen did. Just wasn't enough to beat Max. And, I mean, nothing's really enough to beat Max. His chin's made of literal steel. And Movsar Evloev coming off a decision win over Diego Lopez. And Diego Lopez, man, almost ripped Movsar's knee off, or leg off, at the very end of the fight with that knee bar. That was one of the craziest sub attempts that I think I've ever seen in my entire life. In my history of watching the UFC, I've never seen a sub attempt that deep other than probably Charles and Ferguson, and that's maybe right above it. So I feel like Movsar Evloev is going to be using his wrestling a lot to try to win against Arnold Allen. I feel like that's going to be his game plan. He's going to stick with the game plan because Arnold Allen is above Movsar in striking. So, and then Evloev, absolute beast of a wrestler. And he's marked as the 166 favorite for a reason. I think that Movsar Evloev is going to wrestle Arnold Allen, and he's going to beat him or he's going to submit him. So my pick for that one is definitely Movsar Evloev at minus 166. Moving up the card, we got Chris Curtis versus Marc-André Barriault. So, Chris Curtis coming off a no contest with Nasruddin Imavov. He is marked as the minus 166 favorite, and Barriault is, lost it. He is marked as the plus 140 underdog. So, Barriault's last fight was against ya boy Eric Anders. A decision win over Eric Anders. Honestly, wasn't that impressive. I didn't see anything impressive from Barriault in that fight, especially because it was just a lackluster performance, went to a decision. I mean, Chris Curtis, a no contest. I mean, I'd say a decision win's better than a no contest. So, but Chris Curtis, he's got some good boxing. He's pretty good. He trains with Sean Strickland. So I think I'm going to take Chris Curtis at minus 166 favorite in this fight. Moving up the card, we got Mike Malott versus Neil Magny. Mike Malott at the minus 250 favorite and Neil Magny as the plus 205 underdog in this fight. Mike Malott, the Canadian superstar, it's only perfect that they're fighting in Canada because his last fight was a submission win in the second round. So I feel like a performance like that gets you a spot at the top 15. And I feel like Neil Magny is the perfect person to fight when you're just trying to break into the top 15. Neil Magny got absolutely folded, embarrassed by Ian Gary whenever I was hoping that Neil Magny would win that because Ian Gary, that's the topic for another video. We'll talk about him whenever the card comes up that he's fighting Jeff Neal on. I think that's 298. So, Neil Magny got his legs diced and sliced apart by Ian Gary. Got picked apart on the feet. And didn't really show him anything. Didn't try to use his wrestling at all or his jiu-jitsu whatsoever. Ian Gary was actually the one that was on top. So, Neil Magny had nothing to show for him. I think Neil Magny's washed. And I think Mike Malott's going to go out there and submit him, just like Gilbert Burns did. But, I mean, it's not going to be easy because Neil Magny's not an easy guy to take down. He's not an easy guy to go out there and just run through like that, but Ian Gary did it. I think Mike Malott's going to get it done with a submission. So give me Mike Malott at the minus 250 favorite. So our next card, or our next fight on the card, is the women's vacant bantamweight title bout, Mayra Bueno Silva versus Raquel Pennington. So, Raquel Pennington coming off of a split decision win over Caitlin Vieira. She's on a good little streak right now, I'll tell you that. But, I mean, Mayra Bueno Silva, she just came off of a guillotine finish over Holly Holm. So, I feel like somebody else maybe should have got the title shot over Pennington. I know Pena maybe, but like nah, she got beat the brakes off of by Amanda Nunes in her last title challenge. So, whenever I saw that guillotine from Mayra Bueno Silva against Holly Holm, I think that Mayra Bueno Silva is going to be able to go out there and submit Raquel Pennington. And this is going to be a good fight because Raquel is a good striker. Mayra Bueno Silva is a good grappler. So, it's the striker versus grappler matchup. And I think that we're going to see the grappler on top in this one. So, give me Mayra Bueno Silva at the minus 166 favorite. And for our main event of the card, my favorite fight, I'm so excited for this fight. Give me Sean Strickland to beat Dricus du Plessis. Now, I'm not too sure if Strickland's going to be able to finish Dricus. And I know y'all are like, or I know, not y'all, but like people in general are like, oh, Dricus has this next level cardio because he got nose surgery. We saw him go 2.5 rounds with Robert Whittaker. That's not really showcasing his cardio. He hasn't fought a 5-round fight yet. And this will be his first 5-round fight. We'll really see how his cardio comes into play here because Sean Strickland does not take his foot off the gas. We saw that against Adesanya. Sean Strickland will keep pushing forward, keep jabbing you, keep deep into the body. Until he finds an opening, he's going to break you down until he finishes you or he drags you to a decision, and he's going to win in the way that he wants to win. So, I'm thinking Sean Strickland by unanimous decision in this fight because he beat Adesanya like that. I know that Dricus beat Whittaker. They're the literal two best people in the division. I believe that this is the fight of the two best middleweights on the planet right now. So, and Dricus, he's got some heavy hands. He's good on the ground. He's good everywhere. But I want to see him showcase more of that cardio. I don't think he's going to be able to outlast Sean Strickland with the cardio. And Dricus earlier, before he got the nose surgery, wasn't able to really keep much of a pace. He got hurt against Derek Brunson. He was gassing out against Darren Till. And those last two guys, the last two out of 3 of his last opponents are not even in the UFC anymore. His last win against Robert Whittaker is the highlight of his career, of course. Because who beats Robert Whittaker? Who beats Robert Whittaker? Clearly Dricus du Plessis. And I'm not doubting Dricus at all. There is nobody that I want to lose this fight because I like them both. But I love Sean Strickland with everything in me. And I just think that he's going to push the pace and he's going to keep going. Just jab, teep, just use his absolutely beautiful boxing to cruise to a unanimous decision victory over Dricus du Plessis. So, give me Sean Strickland as the minus 130 favorite. I know I picked all the favorites for this card, but like, we saw how I went on the last card. I went 1 for 3 because the cop fight got canceled. So, I mean, I'm not intentionally taking all the favorites, but I'm taking who I think's going to win. So, give me Sean Strickland, Mayra Bueno Silva, Mike Malott, Chris Curtis, and Movsar Evloev to all win their fights on the main card. It's going to be a good card, guys. I'll tell you that. So, that's my breakdown right there. And see you guys after the fight.